gearing up to be another big week in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. Testimony set to resume tomorrow, with another one of Combs' former assistants taking the stand. Last week concluded with rapper Kid Cudi, who testified about his brief relationship with Cassie Ventura. Kid Cudi said he was concerned for her safety as well as his own. He described the time when he says a jealous Combs broke into his home, locked his dog in a bathroom, and opened his Christmas gifts. The jury also saw photos of Kid Cudi's charred Porsche. Cudi testified he knew Combs had something to do with that damage. Joining me now, defense and trial attorney Misty Marris and former U.S. prosecutor Sarah Krisoff. Sarah and Misty, thank you so much for being here on Memorial Day, no doubt, when you could be doing a lot of other things. I'm going to start with you, Sarah. When we saw this testimony from Kid Cudi, how impactful and important was it for the words that came out of his mouth in the stand, but also they've had the whole weekend to sit with it?
Yeah, so the prosecution is trying to build the racketeering case, particularly through Kid Cudi, and hopefully from their viewpoint with witnesses to come. So I think that's been the area where there's been the least amount of testimony so far, but they're going to build that block by block and trying to, convince the jury there was some sort of enterprise and all of these people that were around Combs trying to cover up the crimes that were committed in furtherance of that enterprise.
Misty, as far as how the defense is handling some of this explosive testimony from Kid Cudi, who was very strong on the stand, according to our reporters who are in there watching this every single day, how is the defense handling itself so far?
Well, first of all, explosive is the perfect word, because the main point of that testimony from the prosecution's perspective was the Molotov cocktail that Kid Cudi says it was Combs and his affiliates, his associates, who blew up his car. And that is part of the predicate crimes prosecutors are seeking to establish of arson, which goes towards racketeering. But Sarah, I was actually in the courtroom for Kid Cudi's testimony, so I saw it. He was a great witness, but the defense was able to chip away at his testimony on cross and establish that he had no direct information. He didn't see anybody. There were no cameras. There was never an arrest. Basically, throwing a little bit of doubt as to whether or not he could really say it was Combs or someone associated with Combs who actually did that damage to his car. So the defense did a good job. He also said that Cassie played him. This was his testimony, and that she was living a double life by dating both himself and Combs. Now, that speaks to her autonomy in the situation, that element of control. So the defense did an excellent job on cross-examination of getting that out in front of the jury.
Yeah, one of those moments that Kid Cudi had was saying that he saw Combs standing outside after that car was burned, looking like a supervillain, standing there with his hands behind his back. But I am curious about some of this coming in. There was no police report, there was no investigation, there was no arrest of Sean Diddy Combs at the time. Were you surprised that came in, that the judge allowed that testimony and those pictures? Yeah,
I'm wondering if there's more to come on this, because it was a lot of supposition on behalf of Kid Cudi, saying this must have been him because we had this warning, and then the thing happened. So it was, and that is always, frankly, a danger in a racketeering case. They have this huge swath of time that they're covering. There's lots of events. There's a real question of, is all of this stuff properly before the jury?
Yeah, and that is something, obviously, if there's a conviction, that can come back up on appeal. Misty, I'm curious going forward this week what you're expecting to hear, because so far, almost every single day of this trial has been jaw-dropping testimony.
Absolutely. So tomorrow, after this long weekend, we'll be back in session in court, and Capricorn Clark is set to take the stand now. She's come up in several different witness testimonies. She's been referenced. She's a longtime assistant and eventually became an executive at Bad Boy Records. So many of the witnesses that we've heard from so far that were affiliated or working for Combs were little snapshots of time. 2 years here, 2 years there. Capricorn Clark worked with him for a longer period of time. She also was referenced in Kid Cudi's testimony that she had reached out to Kid Cudi and said, hey, Combs and some of his affiliates are at your house, are breaking into your house. So she's certainly going to be a very important witness. And my expectation from pre-trial is that she's going to testify about the means and methods of the criminal racketeering conspiracy that prosecutors are seeking to establish.
Yeah, and we're expecting, 6 weeks of the prosecution putting on its case and the defense doing its thing afterwards. I do want to ask you, Sarah, about some reporting that has come out from People. They talked to folks in the jail, and they said that Combs will have a chance to take part in a spades card game, dominoes, 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and a soccer tournament that were offered to prisoners for the holiday, as well as to have some barbecue. He is innocent until proven guilty, but is this the kind of the norm when you're in jail during a trial?
Listen, there is nothing that is good about being in the Metropolitan Detention Center. It's a pretty tough facility, and these types of pretrial facilities have a lot less access, outdoor time, educational programming that you would have at a post-trial facility. So listen, I think these are human comforts that he's being provided, but nothing out of the norm. And this was provided for all, I think, of the inmates there. Thank you so much, Sarah, to you, and thank you to you, Misty. We will be back asking you more questions as this trial continues tomorrow.